Our speakers have now given their points of view on the set topics, so we'll now go into a session for questions from you in the audience.
I mean, one of you can answer this. Why nobody's mentioned the young people, the kids that are stuck in families where there's no relationship to ever having worked. There's no idea of education for the older kids of those families. They're stuck as needs. Nobody seems to mention that at all, and I find that very concerning actually.
Would you like any particular speaker to respond to that?
Yeah, the gentleman from Labour.
Thank you. No, that's we'll say thanks for that. The first one, Nancy, that's really kind of you. I mean, I was still kind of trying to put my thoughts down on paper there as you were saying the question, but you talked about young people. You're right, no, we didn't. I suppose the reason I didn't, because we wanted to focus on those key issues, but it's good that you brought it up.
One of the main issues that are up and coming in inequalities.
Absolutely.
Actually, all the benefits being shipped away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kids are getting sick-binned, and it's terrible.
Yeah, I agree with you. I entirely agree with you. I mean, I think my party has a number of policies specifically addressed at trying to tackle this, trying to help young people. For one thing, I think one of the big things we're talking about is a guaranteed, there's a guaranteed apprenticeship or a guaranteed job after education finishes at 18. I mean, it's a good thing that education now is compulsory to the age of 18, but then we've talked about a guaranteed stimulus, a guaranteed project to go on to, whether it's a job, whether it's training, whether it's an apprenticeship. That's one of the things we definitely want to do. We want to raise the minimum wage. We want to reduce tuition fees back down to at least £6,000, if not lower. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time attacking, certainly because the Tories aren't here. It's really difficult to attack the government. I mean, I don't want to kind of completely lay the blame at one person, or one representative on the panel. But one of the big things we can't get away from is the increase in tuition fees that have been trebled under this government. When there was specific.
I'm not talking about kids that want to go to university. I'm talking about small work.
Okay, you may not be talking about kids that want to go to university, but I want to talk about those kids. But as I say, not all children, of course, want to go to university. But those that do, what we want to do is reduce tuition fees. And as I was saying earlier, one of the things that we've also talked about is bringing in a guaranteed apprenticeship or training or job placement for every young person after they leave compulsory further education. So there are many things that we want to do. It's a massive issue, you're absolutely right. Another big thing, I'll try and be a bit bipartisan here. One good thing from the budget the other day, from George Osborne, and it's very difficult for me to have to compliment George Osborne, but the Tories, they've talked about this cash to buy home ISA, what's it called, cash ISA, first time buyer ISA for a home purchase. That's one good thing, but they've done so many dreadful things that it doesn't really make up for it. But this is one of the things that we really need to tackle for young people, and that is that they're stuck and they can't get on the property ladder. That's another massive thing. It's all right having a job or an apprenticeship and having some income, some training, but I think also tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of young people in our country are stuck and can't get onto the property ladder. So that's another thing that we want to look at.
Thank you, Sundip. Thank you, Nancy. Does anyone else want to come in on that? Matthew, you can take a couple of swipes at your government.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, I entirely agree. And as I mentioned, I'm the Children and Young People's Champion on Hinckley and Bosworth Borough Council. I have a very specific focus on these issues. And I think, just to answer a couple of things that my Labour friend here said, I mean, on apprenticeships, I think that's one of the things this government does have a good record on. 2 million new apprenticeships since the start of this government, certainly something that has been championed by my party. On tuition fees, how did I know that might just come up? Let's face it, it was a mistake, wasn't it, for my party to have done that, to have gone into election saying one thing and then to go into government and to have done something diametrically opposed. I mean, I can tell you that I'm very much on the left with my party and I opposed that. And I think, having said that, I think if I'm to be absolutely fair, the people that were negotiating the agreement with the Tories were in a difficult position in as much as both of the other parties wanted to raise tuition fees, and so they were in a bit of a difficult position now. And I would just say to my Labour colleague as well, you know, I'll take no lectures from Labour on tuition fees. Labour promised in their 97 election not to introduce them at all, then introduced them, and promised in their 2001 election not to introduce top-up fees, and then introduced them. Not due to coalition, not due to a coalition, but with a massive majority. So I'll take no lectures from Labour on tuition fees. I would just add one final thing on young people. I'll be honest with you here. I think they're not going to be properly listened to until they become a proper voting bloc and a bigger voting bloc in our society. I've said that I believe in votes at 16, I do, but whether it's 16 or 18, until we can enthuse, and it's our job as politicians to do this, to enthuse young people, because they are engaged, they just don't appear to want to go out and vote. And until they do become a proper voting bloc, will they, I'm afraid they'll largely continue to be probably ignored by all the parties. Whereas I entirely agree. But the reason that older people, pensioners, are listened to and nothing's taken away from them is because they're a big voting bloc.
But that's
Okay, thank you. We'll move on now to our next question.